What's up, brewskis? My name is Marco Dupa. With me, as always, the great and powerful Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
Yeah, that's right.
We're back, baby. This is the story of a girl, and we're back to the episode, the podcast proper.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. I hope you guys enjoyed Adam hosting, and I hope you guys enjoyed Not So Sober October.
we sure did.
And I hope you guys enjoyed the movie selection. So, obviously, next year we'll do it again. You guys can, at any point, give us movie selections. If you have like a good, I feel like I've been talking a lot of mess about the Terrifier movies. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I owe it to the Terrifier fans to at least do one of them next year.
Sure.
We could even just do it randomly. There's no stopping us from just doing.
Well, I mean, Terrifier 3 is technically a Christmas movie.
Is it?
So,
okay.
you know.
That horrifies me.
It
terrifies me.
There's still time.
All right, so maybe we'll do Terrifier 3 as an olive branch to the Terrifier fans and all the Art the Clown
stands.
Yeah, the people
who
want
you
to.
are.
Yeah, something wrong with y'all. Tonight's brew is from Sons Brewing Co. It's the PSL. We're not out of the month yet, technically, so we're still in the season.
Still in the season.
And we had to do the pumpkin spice latte ale from Three Sons. So Obi's going to have a little bit more about that after the break. What's on tap for tonight? Well, tell us, what are we talking about tonight?
I mean, it's going to be a music episode. We've been talking a lot about movies lately, so it's time to switch on over to something else we do enjoy talking about from time to time. And, there's a recent Anthony Fantano, the internet's busiest music nerd, talking about sort of the meme-ification of music culture and internet culture in general. So I want to talk a little bit about that, what we think about it. And also, you had a little something to say on the internet that people kind of, agreed and disagreed.
Yeah. If you go on over to my TikTok, which I believe is just my name, Marco Dupa. Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry.
We are rusty.
I couldn't hold that one in, man. I'm
Woof.
sorry. If you go on over to my TikTok, at Marco Dupa, I just posted just a little funny thing about the new internet sensation, which is Lawrence, and how they've been going viral with their spectacular pseudo live performance of, I don't even know what the song's called. What You Want, I think, is what it's called.
Okay.
Not to be confused with the Mace song. And I had just a tiny opinion, and I had people come for me, and I'm like, listen, I've seen all these other videos where everybody's sharing this pretty much the same opinion, and everyone's agreeing with them. Yeah. Why do they see mine and go, no, not this guy, anybody but him?
Yeah.
So I have thoughts on that I think we'll be able to kind of roll into this discussion about discussing music on the internet in 2024. So that's probably going to be it. But before we do that, we got to get into the show proper. Mm-hmm. We got to do it. We got to start the song, and it starts right here. This is episode 439 of the One Beer In podcast.
Lost to be found by someone to save you when you're down.
I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm bored when it's bright out. So bored when it's bright out. 4 to 5 a.m. Takes me to a place where I fit in.
Clear the streets out. All right. This is the One Beer In podcast, the podcast where two brews crack open a brew, and we see where that one brew takes us. My name is Marco. That's Adam. And let's get the show on the road. You want to tell the people a little bit more about what we're drinking tonight?
I would love to. Unfortunately, we don't have a cold read.
Nah, boo.
However, we do have a very small bit of cold read here from Untapped.com, the PSL pumpkin spice latte, as you said, Marco, from Three Sons Brewing Co. It is classified as a pumpkin/yam beer.
Oh.
According to Untapped. 8.5% ABV. Yams. Cold read goes as follows. Our seasonal and infamous pumpkin spice latte inspired ale. PSL is loaded with a combination of coffee, pumpkin, cinnamon, and nutmeg.
Okay.
That's all we got.
Can I get to the yams?
Yes, we can. I'm actually glad you picked this one up.
Are you?
No.
It already feels
already
like it's giving you.
Yeah, it's fine. I took two lactates. We'll see how this goes. However, I am glad you picked this because we have gone this entire season without having a pumpkin style beer. So.
Oh yeah, I mean we did some Oktoberfest stuff before we rolled into Not So Sober.
But
so
no pumpkin.
No pumpkin stuff.
Yeah.
Which is a crime.
It is.
There are some people out there, and you know who we're talking about, who don't like pumpkin beers. Have this whole thing where they're like, whenever October rolls around, we get these pumpkin beers.
Yeah.
But you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
It acts perfectly, especially with this like new and improved style where they add spice to it.
Mm-hmm.
I find a lot of breweries doing that nowadays, adding some spice, not just pumpkin. That's the way you got to go.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe come down off that high horse.
Yeah. It's not phony to like, flavorful beers.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It can go overboard.
Yeah.
We've talked ad nauseum about beers that are too fruity or too sour or do something too much, are too fruited, but just don't hate on the entire thing.
Yeah.
They're good
Don't
ones.
throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Open up your mind.
Open up your mind. And your
Open up
homes.
your pumpkin pie hole.
And your mouth. Yes. Okay. Let's get into this.
Okay.
So the kind of launching off point of this is you brought to my attention this recent video with Mr. Anthony Fantano.
Yeah.
The internet's busiest music nerd.
That's what they say.
And he was addressing a post from what's her name? Ethel. Fuck, what's her name?
Couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you.
Sorry, I'm not up on some of the like indie singer songwriters. I know she's big, and I know people are gonna be like, "You son of a bitch," but Ethel Cain. Ethel
Cain.
And she posted about how she has a new album coming out, and basically the idea was she's not looking forward to the album rollout because of the cynical kind of jokey, we can't take anything serious nature of musical discussion and really just media consumption in general. I mean, we're going to focus on music because that's where this kind of started, but it really is pretty much how people engage with art in general.
Yeah.
Anything, it's really the only way that people
Politics,
engage with things.
Movies, music.
Yeah, so
everything.
we are at a weird place right now where I don't think that people feel comfortable engaging with things sincerely.
Yeah. It's what they call it. It's like an epidemic of
I forgot.
Yeah, but just a lack of sincerity.
Yeah.
Because what makes for better, consumable content.
I'm gonna get glasses. I want to see what this looks like. Continue. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I want to see what it looks like.
Is like a quick joke or a meme or something that somebody has said, 1,000 times on Twitter already.
Yeah.
And that's leading to less authentic discourse on everything, and really a more toxic environment for movies, music, gaming, politics, the internet at large. But I mean, solidified within this example of the fact that apparently Ethel Cain's comment section for any video or post or whatever is just filled with these tongue-in-cheek, insincere kind of posts that are memeing jokes and whatnot.
Now, I'm not too familiar with Ethel Cain, obviously, and I guess I didn't really realize like how much her that's how her fan base engages with her.
Yeah.
And I can see like, I can only imagine if every time that we posted something, you know, it was just memes and jokes and nobody really seriously engaging with what we talk about.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the direction that Fantano takes his video, is that nowadays people, the way that his fans engage with his stuff is basically through memes, through jokes. Yeah. Nothing can really be seriously engaged with anymore.
The more thoughtful posts tend to get buried by the memes.
Yeah, and honest to God, like I've gone on his, I've looked at his comment section before, and I can't even. It's hard to look at. Like
Yeah.
his YouTube comment section and even the Instagram, like his comments are. Sorry, I'm live EQing.
Okay.
So if it sounds weird in this first like 10-15 minutes, I'm
kind
of doing it on the fly.
Sorry,
We're
everybody.
good. We're good.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, I like to jump into a YouTube comment section or an Instagram comment section. I mean, I've talked about it before. I'll talk some shit. I'll jump in there and say something. But I have never, ever. That's a lie.
Well, I never.
I have made jokes before, but I have never jumped into a serious discussion about a piece of music or a piece of art in general and jumped in with like a meme. I'm with them on that. Like I really, I don't like the idea. I don't like where we're at. Like I guess I'll just start my piece on this. Is I agree. I don't like where we're at with this stuff.
Yeah.
It really does. It's a bummer, man. It really is. Like sometimes I'll want to jump into a discussion about something on Twitter or on any kind of social media, and you look at it, and on Twitter especially, it's just bots, blue checks, and Elon dick riders that are like the first 200 comments.
Sure.
You scroll and scroll and scroll, and you finally get people kind of engaging with it. You go on Instagram or YouTube comments, and it's the same thing. I mean, minus the Elon guys. But you get, like, the first 200 comments are some kind of joke, some kind of meme that, like, I swear to God, dude. Like, John Cena, he's addressed it in the past.
Yeah.
Where he's like, you know, now that I'm on your show, your comment section is going to be filled with, who is so-and-so talking to? And why is so-and-so talking to an invisible chair? Y'all don't find that, it's not funny.
No.
It's not funny. It's boring. It's like, I don't get who engages with things like that. If John Cena goes on like on a talk show or a TV show, or he was just on Kai Cenat's live stream, and like discussing like some important stuff, they're asking him some questions. He's giving them career advice and stuff, and then you've got to combat memes to get to real discussion on things.
It's the reason why I brought this up to begin with is not just because I generally agree with that Fantano video. We can link it below. It's that it instantly reminded me of our Sherry and I's concert experience at Mitski earlier this year.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Where it's like no one can just sit in a moment anymore. No one can just enjoy a performance. They need to be part of it. And, you know, of course, that's always been an element of live shows. You know, people cheer. You of course want applause. People sing along sometimes. Like, that's all standard. That makes sense. But we're in an era now where if anyone has a fan base below a certain age, especially, it becomes this yelling match and this contest to go viral, and it's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's so gross
Yeah.
to me that's the state of things, and I don't know how you combat that unless you actively have a fan base that is listening and willing to, you know, put certain standards in practice. But a lot of these people, their fan bases are so big or passive, or, you know, they're kind of fractured in a way where not everyone is listening, that even if the artists were to be like, hey, if we could like tone it down a little bit and let me do my thing, that'd be great. You're still going to have assholes out there that are just there to try to make a scene or try to, get the next viral TikTok out there. And I just find that so depressing and gross.
I do think that a lot of the onus does kind of fall on the artist to kind of start saying, I want you guys to seriously engage with this. I don't want to see memes in my comment section. I want to see people like actually, because like, okay, to go back to Fantano's video, for instance, Fantano can say this all he wants, but it's not as if he doesn't engage in this stuff as well.
Sure.
A lot of those memes that people repeat over and over and over again, obviously, I can see why it would get annoying, but a lot of that stuff comes from him.
Well, and that's true apparently of Ethel Cain too, where he himself said like, yeah, she's been known to be kind of plugged into the meme world and like be up on that kind of scene. It's not like it's completely foreign.
It's hard to tell millions of people what direction you want them to look in.
It's a big ship, and it takes a long time and a lot of effort to kind of curate your audience that way.
Right. And while you're like running from one end of the ship to the next and you're trying to like turn it against the tide, you've got to keep in mind that you already pushed it this way.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a lot of effort to get it to go in another direction.
And it runs the risk of people saying like, oh, she's stuck up, or like, oh, she's way too self-serious.
Yeah,
like,
and you have to deal with that, I think.
Yeah.
I think you have to just accept the fact, like Chaperone, obviously, she went viral recently for demanding, she basically was like, I am famous, and I understand what that entails, but I think it's bullshit that I have to deal with some of the stuff that I have to deal with. And there are two sides to that conversation, and I do think I understand where both people come from. I understand that, there is a level of you have to deal with certain things because of your level of fame.
Yeah.
But I also understand the artistic perspective of why, I've been playing with the chaperone thing a lot in my mind, and I keep like landing on both sides of the conversation. I get that when you're famous, you have to deal with certain things, and that just is the nature of the beast. But on the other hand, if you never say anything, then nothing ever changes.
Sure.
So when people do say something, they're gonna be the first person to go like something needs to change, and everyone's gonna go, well, you asked for this. And it's like, I don't think anybody who wants to, we put ourselves out for potentially millions of people to see. Like this is uploaded to a platform that has billions of eyes on it daily.
And free.
And for free.
Yeah.
Don't you ever forget that. I put my music out for free.
Sure.
And we put it out for public consumption. So whatever comes back, there is a level of it that is our fault for not just keeping it on the hard drive.
It's consensual in a way, like we are putting it out there fully knowing that we want people to engage in this.
Yeah, but
or we'd shut off the comment section.
That's true. That's true. If we didn't want to engage with,
which we do. Comment.
Yes, please comment below.
Stuff. Yeah.
But on the inverse of that, I also work at a bar. I work at a bar in a front-facing industry.
Sure.
Just because you can talk to me doesn't mean you can talk to me however you want.
Sure, yeah. There's no ownership of you.
And that's what people, I think that is where this conversation kind of fractures, because there is a belief that art is owned by the consumer. Once it is put out there, the ownership now is how people engage with that thing, right? If this person is my favorite artist, I bought the album, I can kind of do whatever I want with it in my mind. I can interpret it however I want.
Sure.
That's how a lot of people view
I kind of agree with that, especially with movies. It's like, something like a David Lynch movie, he has his own idea behind what it means, but famously leaves it up for interpretation.
Yeah.
So it really does belong to that person. And if somebody thinks that, I don't know, a character actually survived this thing, even though it doesn't seem that way for some people at the end, like the spinning top in Inception. That I feel like is your own. That is something that you own. Your perception of art. You don't own David Lynch. You don't own the artist. You own the art when you buy it. But that's like you own Chappell Roan's CD. You don't own her.
Yeah.
She doesn't owe you anything at all.
Right.
Period. Other than to like show up to a concert when she says she's going to be there.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I think she doesn't owe you anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as far as art is concerned, I'm of two minds on it. I do think that like if I were to put something out and somebody came to me and was like, I love that you said this because it made me think of this, and I think that you were going for this. And in my mind, I'm like, that is not what I was going for at all. I would probably be like, hey man, thanks that you interpret it that way, and I appreciate you engaging with it in that way. And I probably wouldn't be like, you're wrong.
Yeah.
But for me personally, the stuff that I do is very like, it's thought out from beginning to end. I don't leave anything up for interpretation.
Right.
Right. It is what it is.
Yeah. It's literal.
Yeah. And if somebody interprets it one way, that's cool. And I would never tell them like, don't do that. But I also am like, well, I had an intent.
Sure.
There is a real intent there. And if I failed in that intent and you got something else from it, that's cool too. But I definitely intended to do something. And I wonder about people like Christopher Nolan. I wonder if he wrote it all the way through and he has an answer. Like I just rewatched The Thing. Just rewatch it all the time. So that's no surprise.
Yeah.
And I was wondering about the end of that. Like, is Childs the Thing, or if Mac's the Thing?
Yeah. Famously, who is the Thing?
And John Carpenter has throughout the years given multiple answers to kind of throw people off the scent. He has said that one of them is the Thing, and he's not going to tell anybody. He has said more than once that neither one of them are the Thing.
Right.
And he's also just been like, "Fucking you figure it out, man."
Yeah.
So he's
also famously a troll. So that's the fun. That's why like I prefer the artist that goes that route generally, because for me that's one of the most fun things about engaging in any kind of art, and I think it's the most enduring element of your art, because like Sherry and I were in New York, we went to the Met, we saw a bunch of art that some of it literally thousands of years old, and we're looking at it, and the artist isn't there to be like, actually I meant that to be a camel. right. You see a giraffe, that's fine I guess, but no, it's actually a camel.
It's definitely a camel.
So it really ultimately, once you create the art, in my opinion, it's like birthing a child. You give it up to the world. It goes off and does its own thing.
Yeah. Right.
And becomes an adult, and it's no longer yours. Like you put it out there, knowing full well that it becomes a piece of the world and no longer of you directly. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's probably healthier for the artist to take that approach as opposed to being like sort of a control freak over it and like, no, you're misinterpreting that completely. Unless it goes against their beliefs. Right. If it's something that's being interpreted in a way that they don't want to be associated with, then I understand that. Yeah.
So here's the other thing to kind of wrap it back around to like the meme-ification of dealing with and engaging with art.
Yeah. Discourse.
If you don't take at least a little bit of ownership of it, you are kind of left with people going, I mean, it could be anything. And anybody can take anything that they want from it and go in any direction with it. And if you're just happy because people are engaging with it, then you are going to kind of get people, you're going to get a large portion of people not engaging with it seriously because they don't really know how to engage with it. I don't think there is normal people don't have any kind of media training, and that's not something, I don't think that's normal. People shouldn't be media trained, but there is a reason why people go to art school. There is a reason why people go to film school. There's a reason why
they're inherently broken.
they're broken people.
Yeah.
And those institutions teach you how to engage with art in a more meaningful way.
Well, it really, I'll say the the thing they do best, or like the best thing they do for an artist, is they give you the technical knowledge, sure, but they also teach you how to be a good audience,
Right.
more so than anything else.
Right.
So
We're a bad audience in 2024.
Yes,
that's
very bad.
That is the gist of this.
absolutely,
We are a bad audience.
Yeah.
If you may think that it's a joke nowadays, how often people tweet about the fact that like kids just pull their phones out and just start filming stuff in the movie theater,
yeah.
or just have their light,
Start taking
their
pictures.
high brightness. If you think that that's funny, like, first of all, you're part of the problem for sure. But second of all, like, you are the reason. Like, we are a bad audience nowadays. Collectively, we're not a good audience. Can you imagine, like, take somebody on a date, or okay, let me rephrase: have a date, and the date is movie night.
Okay.
And you're showing your potential partner your favorite movie.
yeah,
Imagine if you were sitting on the couch, you got comfortable, you got your snacks and everything, you turn the movie on, and 5 minutes in, they're filming it on their phone,
Yeah.
or they're texting.
yeah, right.
Do you know how, like, that would enrage you, right? If you don't even have to be somebody who's gone to film school, you
I would
don't
just
have
start
to be
screaming.
a snob.
I would just start screaming. Yeah,
I mean, just really think about that, because everybody has their favorite thing, right?
Sure.
Everybody, even if you're just some brainless dum-dum, I'm serious.
you don't have to engage with art to be smart.
Right.
But-
and you don't have to be smart to engage with art.
Yeah.
But everybody has their favorite thing. You
Sure.
could be somebody who's like, your favorite TV show is fucking Phineas and Herb and whatever the fuck that.
Ferb.
What, Ferb? It's Ferb.
Ferb.
Phineas and Ferb.
Phineas and Herb.
Phineas be smoking the herb.
Uh-huh.
That could be your favorite all-time show. And I'm not saying you're dumb if that's your favorite show, dummy. I'm saying that if you sat someone down and said, let me show you my favorite episode of my favorite TV show, and they didn't give you the respect to engage with that thing seriously, even for 11 minutes,
Yeah.
then you wouldn't respect that person, and hopefully you wouldn't choose that person to be your partner, right?
Yeah. It's disrespectful to you, first of all.
Exactly. Now, extrapolate that to the artist who created something and they want you to engage with it in a serious way. And if you can't even give them, like, albums are really short nowadays for the most part. You can't give this person 25 minutes of your time.
Yeah.
You know, a music video is what, 3-4 minutes tops?
Sure, yeah.
You can't give them 4 minutes to engage with a thing seriously.
Yeah.
You're showing a total lack of respect.
Uninterrupted time.
Uninterrupted time. Just sit there and engage with the thing for a little bit. You know, put your phone down. If you're watching your phone, hopefully you're swiping text away so that you can engage with this thing.
Sure.
Just for a little bit.
Yeah. It's good for your brain, too, you know?
I don't think people care about that sort of thing. And I do think that hopefully we get more artists like Ethel Cain and Chappell Roan kind of swinging the pendulum back in a direction that says Tyler's new album is coming out soon.
Yes. Surprisingly so. I'm filled with joy and energy and spirit.
Yeah, from his rollout.
Yeah, by the fact that it's everything that we always talk about, but the opposite. Because we had gone on a few months ago about the fact that so many of these artists put out like a single a year ahead of time.
Yeah.
It's like, wait for the rest of it.
Yeah.
Or we'll slow trickle every quarter another song.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to wait that long.
Right.
No. You announce in the middle of the month, it's coming out at the end of the month.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
And he's dropped 2 singles each week.
Right. Anticipate it. And then you get it.
Yeah.
And that's great. I love
They're
that.
great songs.
Yes.
He does this really good thing, especially since probably Cherry Bomb, where each album rollout has an entire theme around it. He changes his clothes.
It's all very cinematic.
He changes the aesthetic of everything that he posts.
Yeah.
It is very cinematic. That's a person, Tyler has a trust in his audience, and his audience has a trust in him as an artist that he's going to deliver on his promises.
Right.
And he's done that for pretty much 95% of his career.
Yeah.
Some would say 100%.
Sure.
I'm not a big fan of early Tyler, but that's another
There is a
discussion.
divide in the fan base I've seen.
Yeah.
Of early Tyler fans versus later Tyler fans.
There's a lot of early Tyler fans that don't like any of the shit that he puts out now.
And as much as I don't want to get it, I get it. It's very different.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But it's an evolution, and it's something that, mind you, like I wasn't a huge Tyler fan for his early career. Like, I liked a few of the tracks, but I am such a big fan of the later half. But I can see the line of like, oh, okay, it's not a completely different artist. It's just a different.
I'd say he is almost pretty different. I wouldn't say completely different either, but I mean, it's pretty close, man. If you were to even show early Tyler to new Tyler, I'm sure he would be like, who even is that?
Why is he saying that? No, I see a through line.
There is an evolution,
I see an
for sure.
evolution.
Yeah,
I see an
definitely,
evolution.
definitely. You couldn't have this new stuff without that early stuff to get us here. So his audience is kind of trained to engage with these things seriously. And I think that's because when he kind of made this switch to doing a little, I guess, more mature, more melodic, more
romantic,
sensual, there was, I think that the audience that went with him on that stuff kind of was like, okay, he's engaging with this more seriously, therefore I will do the same.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what a lot of artists are missing is you kind of have to train people. And then sometimes like with Mitski, for instance, it's no fault of their own. There is never a moment where Mitski has been like, let's make jokes about the stuff that I'm talking
Let's
about.
take this all very lightly.
Yeah, like, so there's never a moment. So I can't blame Mitski in that situation. Or Steve Lacy, for instance, when he went viral.
Sure.
Like, there's never a moment where they are like, yeah, it's fine to make jokes and not take this seriously.
Mitski, famous laugh riot.
Yeah. But I do think that maybe artists should be a little bit more vocal. And she's been vocal about how she wants people to, like, kind of take things more seriously.
I'm glad.
And I just think that the problem is easy to talk about with art and with music and movies and more specifically, but the problem really is with us as a people, really. The problem really kind of lies in the fact that, like, emotionally, I think people are very afraid to be seen taking things seriously.
Yeah. Sticking your neck out and saying, like, enjoying something is now looked at as an oddity.
Yeah, it's like, look at this guy. He just loves it here, doesn't he? What a fucking
makes me
idiot.
so uncomfortable.
So
you're experiencing joy? Ew.
You're not allowed to experience those emotions without a level of cynicism to them.
Right.
Which I think infects the audience and it infects the artists themselves, because everything kind of has to be a little tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
Because there has to be this level of artifice that says, I know to what you know.
Yeah.
And I'm doing this from the perspective of the audience member as well. So don't think that you're smarter than me. I know all the jokes you're about to say about this because I've already said the jokes to myself. So listen, like, I get it. It's very meta.
It's guarded. It's defensive.
And you can't just be joyful and you can't just be sincere. Now, I will say, the other side of that conversation is when you get a band like Lawrence.
Yes.
And you get an over sincerity, no self-awareness, no kind of tongue-in-cheek nature to what you're talking about. Because I guess here's the thing. If there is a sort of meta conversation about, say, like a song drops and the lyrics are a little corny, you can at least say, like, well, I know they're corny. I wrote them corny on purpose. But if you stick your neck out and you say, like, no, this song is really serious and near and dear to my heart, and like 80% of the conversation is, well, these lyrics are corny as shit, then you're just corny. And you have to kind of deal with the fact that, like, you may not be as deep or as thought-provoking as you think you are. And I'm not saying that to be insulting. I'm just saying some people are not diving into as deep a well as they think they are.
And, you know, maybe they're just not comfortable doing that. Maybe there isn't anything to dive into. Maybe they've had a good life and, you know, they just want to write songs about current events.
And that's fine. But I think that those people need to be more self-aware than other people, because you have to I just think you have to be at a level where you go, I understand.
Shut up, you sincere idiot.
I don't think that you need to be, I don't think that those people need to be more cynical. I think
Right.
they just need to be more aware. I
Yeah,
think they
yeah.
just need to be able to say, I get that you are not going to be able to engage with this seriously because you might not think it's as deep as. Here's a good example. KSI, big streamer, multimedia
Mogul.
Yeah, at this point,
Yeah.
we've talked about Lunchley and we've talked about whatever.
So
So,
they're finding mold in them.
dude, do you know how badly I want to do a video where you and I just go to the store and randomly
Get a
do
Lunchley. Yeah.
taste test,
I would do
taste
I
test?
would do that.
We should.
Yeah.
We should do more like short form videos on this.
Okay.
That's a different conversation. We'll come back to that. KSI also moonlights as a pop artist. I can't even really call him a rapper because it's not really rap music.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
more of like this melodic rap trap thing that a
Oh,
lot
you
of
mean urban?
urban. Yes, yes. Just urban in general. And he put out a single a couple weeks ago, and I mean, people just hated it. And then just hate it. They laughed at it because it was silly and because it was so incredibly unself-aware. And he did think, like, the music video features him like breaking out of this ice and like these zoom cuts of giant Prime bottles, and like it's
Yeah.
stuff that it's like, bro, this isn't even about being cynical or about being an angry person.
It's very unself-aware.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then to make matters worse, all of these streamers, these big music streamers and just streamers in general,
Yeah.
watch the video, they laugh at it, they clown on it, then they go viral for laughing at it and clowning on it. And then to compound on top of that, he watches them make fun of him, and instead of laughing along with them and going like, I get why that's funny to you,
Yeah.
he gets super angry.
Yeah.
Because he has no self-awareness
Right.
at all. So he can't remove himself from the conversation and look at it from someone else's perspective. He's devoid of that ability.
Well, and when your entire life is like, I'm gonna stream everything, you know,
You lose that part of yourself.
Right.
You lose it.
what a savvier artist, or maybe somebody who isn't primarily just an internet personality, would have done was go, that sucks that everyone hates my new single. Back to the drawing board. That's gone. All
Dude,
right.
Well, if everybody's gonna like make jokes and stuff, what he should have done was get in on the joke. Look at Tommy Wiseau.
Oh yeah.
That's what you do when everyone gets in. When everyone is laughing at you, you can either get super defensive and angry and make it worse, or you can just go, "All right, you know what? I shot my shot. It didn't work, but I get why people think this is funny, and I kind of have to roll with the punches and be a little more self-aware."
That is kind of the mystery of Tommy Wiseau, though. Is like, does he get it though, or is he just
He gets
happy that people keep watching this movie?
Here's my theory on Tommy Wiseau. Probably not an original thought, but I think for sure he wanted to be James Dean. He has mentioned it 1,000 times.
Sure.
That the whole movie is just him trying to do Rebel Without a Cause.
Big Dean head.
He tried everything in his power to be taken seriously as an artist, and then he gets laughed out of Hollywood, but he was smart enough to go, no, not me. I'm still gonna get mine.
Yeah.
And then he comes back with this whole, yeah, it's a joke. It was always a joke, and it's like, no, it wasn't.
No.
But that's okay. That even makes it funnier that he's like, it's always been a dark comedy. I think, dude,
yeah.
I am of no illusion. I don't think he's dumb at all. I don't think he's not. I think he's super self-aware. I think he understands every part of this, and I think he understands now that he doesn't. I mean, look at he made another movie with Mark. That's not his real name. And that movie sucked too. But
Yeah.
it was like super low budget and dumb and weird. But that movie didn't work as well because he's too in on the joke.
Right, exactly.
You know?
And that's why, like, all of those movies that are like bad movies, air quotes if you're not watching the video, are so unenjoyable.
Dude, I wanna talk at length with you about that subject in general. I want us to table that specifically.
Okay.
Because I've been thinking about it for a long time. The idea of making a bad movie on purpose and wondering why like people don't like Sharknado or you know, and why movies like The Room work and why movies like Troll 2 work.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back to that because I really want to talk like at length about that.
Yeah.
But that's the idea. Like those guys didn't really get it. Then they understood it because they were self-aware enough to go, all right, this is how people are engaging with this thing. Let me roll with the punches.
You have to judo that energy.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Like
you got to
have
take
to
that
be,
and move it this way.
You know, you're right, actually, now I think about it, because a less savvy person would have taken it personally, would have gotten pissed off and been like, no, this is a very serious film. I put my heart and soul into it. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on it, probably. And you guys just don't get it. And that's heartbreaking. And, you know, I'm just going to never make a movie again.
And I'm sure that he had that moment. Yeah. I'm sure because I think The Room was supposed to be taken seriously. I do think he sat in his room and probably had to have a good cry about it.
In that room.
In that room.
Yeah.
With the sheets.
Yes.
And he's rubbing his face with the dress. And
it's all green screen.
I do think that he had to have a moment to himself to go, all right, what direction am I going to go with this?
It had to have had a second life in the way that like Miami Connection did.
Yeah.
Where it's like this thing came out, was a failure, and then somebody found it, and because of the internet, it exploded and became a phenomenon based on irony.
And he was smart enough to not be angry. Well, some of them are angry about it. Some of them are not.
Sure. Yeah.
You know who you are.
Yeah.
And that was smart to go, all right, well, this is how people are taking this thing. Again, going back to the conversation about how once you put art into the world, how are people going to interpret it or misinterpret it or just make it their own?
Yeah.
You have to be able to roll with that kind of stuff. And to kind of circle it back to now, people don't even engage with things like that on a level that is even self-aware from the audience's perspective. Mm-hmm. You know, like it's hard to watch people engage with things nowadays that's like not, I don't know. It all seems like there is a level, again, that there's this level of cynicism. Like I'm thinking about stuff that's gone viral recently. Mm-hmm. Let's get back to the Lawrence thing, for instance. Let's get back to the Lawrence thing.
Yeah.
That song, What You Want, I think it's called. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you need. What you want. It's
what you want. Yes.
So they apparently just performed on The Tonight Show. So
if you want, I can read the first couple of
little byline of their, please.
From LawrenceTheBand.com. As NPR writes, quote, siblings Clyde and Gracie Lawrence are not your typical pair. End quote. Clyde Lawrence and Gracie Lawrence have been writing songs and listening to countless Stevie Wonder, Randy Newman, and Aretha Franklin records in their family's New York City apartment.
That makes perfect
since
sense.
They were little kids. After years of playing together, they officially created Lawrence, an 8-piece soul pop band comprised of musician friends and from childhood and college. The band has since gained a devoted following for its high-energy, keyboard-driven sound, which features tight, energetic horns and explosive lead vocals. In 2024, Lawrence entered a new era with the release of their 4th studio album, Family Business. The album's opening track, Whatcha Want, broke into the top 40 on the U.S. pop chart, and Lawrence recently performed it on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, The Kelly Clarkson Show, Today with Hoda and Jenny, and CBS Saturday Morning.
So, first of all, you can say what you want about what you want.
I was going to make the joke, but I felt like the fruit was a little too low-hanging.
Should we add that to the soundboard?
Yes.
You can say what you want
about... The screaming one,
just
though.
Yeah. you can say what you want about the internet's reaction to it and how much people clowned on it and how much people were like, this is generic, you know.
Which was your take?
That was my take was basically that I honestly didn't even think it was like a horrible song. It's just not. It's just generic.
Well,
it's just
like the consensus of internet commenters, if we're talking about this sort of meme-ification of discussion on music, was pretty much, this is Old Navy commercial music. Putting like a snippet from the song and then saying like 50% off.
Oh yeah, a lot of people did that.
Yeah.
Like a lot of voiceover actors did that. That was
Right.
pretty funny.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, even with this, if you look at their comments, and it's filled with memes. But look at the people who stitched the video and wanted to have like a serious discussion about the song and why. Not just that it's generic Old Navy music, but why it's generic Old Navy music.
Sure. Breaking it down a
Why?
little bit deeper.
Yeah, on a level that like you can't even really conceive because you might not have the vocabulary or the education to understand why you feel this way.
But you can feel it.
But you can feel it. And that's the kind of discourse and discussion that I love having. That's the reason that our show exists, is to do shit like that and to make fun of Lawrence. To drink beer.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of shit that interests me. I love watching people tell you like the reason that this is awful is because of the X, Y, and Z. That's the thing that you're feeling. That's the thing that's like bubbling up inside you.
One of my favorite genres of YouTube video, by the way, is like
that
breaking
in-depth
down music,
yeah,
breaking down movies into like, the video essay, if you will.
Yes,
it's like my favorite thing.
Yeah, and
Best.
and it's the same thing with any kind of art. You have people who engage with that thing seriously, and that's their life.
Yeah,
and they can tell you like, I can explain to you in depth why this scene works because of the lighting and because of the dialogue and because of the way that it's shot and because of the way that like it's cut and edited. That's a genius auteur did this on purpose. Every fucking second of this movie was done on purpose, and that's why you love it so much. Even though you can't put into the words why you love it, other people can tell you like, listen, this is all of this shit was premeditated. This was all worked out in post.
It's on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the first 15 minutes after any movie I show Sherry. Is me doing
like,
that.
This is that's why he did that, and this is this. And with Lawrence, okay, everybody had their opinions and everything, and it didn't even fucking matter because they cracked the top 40 and they're performing on every day, night and day show.
Yeah.
Talk show. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be successful despite themselves. So.
And there seems to be a real fervent fan base for them too.
Well, because there's a lot of people that like that theater kid bullshit. Like they're into that stuff. So
sure.
There is. I mean, Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Here we go. Here we go.
Listen.
Says the man who didn't even see Hamilton.
I don't need to see Hamilton. I only need to hear that bullshit to understand how corny it is. All I need to know is that he got bullied in high school.
He sure
He
did.
got hung upside down and got the chain shooken out of his fucking pants. They stuffed him into a locker, and he was like, and he pushed open their locker, and he was like, "One day." I was like, you know what? Fuck this kid.
You will all see.
No, bullying's bad. Don't do that.
It reminds me of that terrible comic of the kid, the nerdy kid, that's like, why do they always pick thugs?
and then the
he
next
comes back
panel,
with a suit,
and he's
she's
holding
pregnant.
a lot of money, and he's like, "Beat it, chick."
Yes. That's Lin-Manuel Miranda.
They all want to be that guy.
Yeah.
They all want to be that guy.
Beat it, chick.
You know what? And it's like, yeah, King, focus on yourself.
Uh-huh.
Focus on yourself.
Yeah,
Get your
yeah,
suit
yeah.
game up. Get your
There you
money
go.
up. And then you can tell that pregnant woman, beat it, chick.
Yeah. Yep.
So, listen. Lin-Manuel Miranda, I think, is a shining example of over-sincerity. Now, I am not trying to say that being sincere is a bad thing. In fact, I'm saying the opposite. Being sincere is a good thing. Engaging with art sincerely is good. I think that being overly sincere and not having any kind of self-awareness is where you run into trouble. And if you think that everything that you do should be engaged with in a serious way, and when people don't engage with it in a serious way, that they're wrong, they just don't get it, or they're not taking it seriously, it's like you just have to have a balanced level of sincerity and self-awareness.
That's the word I was going to use, is balance. Because, you know, you don't want to be the person who overshares at the same time, but people will respect you if you are open and honest about your feelings.
Right.
Like,
right.
there is a balance to be met here,
exactly,
even in art, you know?
Right.
So, you know, we're not, I don't know. It can sometimes feel like you're either reading somebody's diary and it gets to this place of like, this isn't really even entertaining, this is too much.
Yeah.
Or it can also come off like you can end up judging the artist for their internal monologue sometimes too.
Right, right.
So yeah, it can go both ways. I can see.
I just think that like I saw one person being like, you know, people are hating on Lawrence, but what about like Stevie Wonder? And it really is.
What?
So let me expand on this before, because you're right. Yeah, that is the right reaction to that. Basically, the argument is that they do music that is reminiscent of like this kind of joyful pop soul kind of thing. The problem is, and I think Fantano kind of talked about this a little bit in his video that was focused on Lawrence, which is that Lawrence may be influenced by Aretha Franklin and Stevie
Wonder, Randy Newman,
sure. Even that, I'm like, Randy Newman understood, like, he did a very subtle, like, humorous thing. He understood, like, subverting expectations. He was edgy in a time that what he was doing was folksy and almost kind of dumb and silly, but there was a real thought behind what Randy Newman was doing.
And at times very theatrical.
Yeah. So don't you dare. If they, and okay.
Don't speak the name Randy Newman.
Let me slow down for a second. Okay. Because they have 4 albums, apparently 4 studio albums that I have not listened to. So I'm not going to, and I've heard people say it's too bad that this is the song that's gone viral because they make a lot of good music that doesn't sound like this. They are really good. So I'm not gonna write them off completely. But if we're just judging based off of this one single that has gone viral, to dare to compare them to Stevie Wonder based off of this, because it's the same kind of like, you know, happy, joyful, big, expansive, soul
energetic
music that he
keyboard
does,
driven,
is a fundamental lack of understanding of what makes anything great, but what makes Stevie Wonder great, and why there's like a chasm of difference between what they're doing and what he's doing.
Well, and that comparison only adds to the criticism of them as an act,
and it only kind of makes people angrier.
Right. As soon as I saw that line, I was like, ugh.
Yeah. I mean, come on, bro. BuzzFeed top 10 ways that you hate. It's 2024. Does BuzzFeed even exist?
I don't.
I'm 34, and I'm like, this is such millennial music. It pisses me off.
Millennial music sucks.
It's terrible.
As a millennial, I can say that.
And then the Brothers verse is even worse. It's bad. It's just like lyrically just bad. It sounds like ChatGPT wrote this song, and then they played and sing extremely well.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, if you got 8 motherfuckers from Juilliard to do this, or Berkeley School of Music, of course you're gonna get a good sound.
Performance. Yeah.
But that's the thing. You don't seem to understand what separates you from somebody like Stevie. There's just.
This is really random, but do you remember the this group called Fits and the Tantrums?
Fuck no.
They were pretty popular in the past.
I don't know if I want to drink it.
I switched over to an IPA, my friend. They were popular maybe 10, 15 years ago. And they started to get some buzz around like this Alabama Shakes-ish sound. Like
dude, okay. I'm sorry, continue. But Alabama Shakes is a really good example of like somebody who does this kind of shit well.
Right. Fits in the Tantrums was essentially like a bluesy, jazzy kind of a duo where there was a white guy singer and a black lady singer.
Okay.
And they did this kind of like riffy, funky, jazzy, blue-eyed soul kind of thing. That was very energetic too.
Yuck.
But, had that kind of...
Yeah.
They did that thing. And,
That
they...
stomp, clap bullshit.
Yeah, they got pretty big.
Fits in the Tantrums.
But then they petered out. And
Yeah.
it's because of this same thing where it's like they were proficient artists. They performed well. Mm-hmm. But there wasn't really much behind that was interesting, that was worth investing into, or did anything better than anyone else was doing. And I feel like that's going to be the course of Lawrence, the band.
Yeah.
Like it just seems like off of this song alone and essentially their write-up here, I'm predicting that this is going to be a sort of flash in the pan situation unless they have some hidden talent that we're not seeing right now.
I mean, 4 albums in, and this is the song that goes viral, and for people to be like, yeah, but you don't know the real Lawrence. Well, the real Lawrence probably isn't good either, because this is the shit that went viral.
This is the one that people like. So
right. So like, you telling me that they got buried deep somewhere, a kind of Amy Winehouse Back to Black thing,
right.
or like what are you telling me?
Yeah. Well, it's not just sincerity, but it's there needs to be a realness to it. It comes off phony and surface level based on what they're talking about in this song. And you can have a fun pop song that's like just bubbly and whatever, but people are treating this like it is a deeper thing.
Yeah.
Or that there's a bigger talent at hand than it seems to be on paper.
I feel bad for them, but they also kind of like brought it on themselves with like, you clip something out and like you're I don't know, man, like you're asking people to make money when the lyrics are BuzzFeed top 10 ways that you hate me. Don't ever call a girl crazy, but lately, and it's an acapella like beat drop thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, you're just kind of
You stick your neck out there.
You're sticking your neck out there, and
look,
you got to stand on those lyrics.
I respect it. I think it's brave. I think it shows a lot of confidence.
It's definitely brave.
Not for me.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Not for me. I don't like it. I don't like it.
I don't like it at all.
Don't know how people like it, but they like it. And that's the thing. Fuck us, right? People like it. People dig it. So, I mean, there may be 1 million people on this side going, this shit sucks. But there's 2 million people on this side hiring them to go on fucking Fallon.
Sure. They're making their money. I'm not mad at it.
It's not surprising. Like, I can imagine them, doing that stupid Fallon thing where he has them all play like kid instruments and stuff.
Yeah.
I fucking hate Jimmy Fallon. I'm so sick of seeing him.
Yeah.
On my TV.
Yeah.
God. So, I guess at the end of the day, my major overall point with this is I do believe that we are in a weird, cynical place with music and engaging with art and engaging with media in general.
Yeah.
And we can go another hour talking about how people engage with politics in this same way. I mean, I saw somebody saying Trump has to have the most iconic campaign of all time because of everything that's happened to him in this current campaign. And there are a lot of like, for Republicans, iconic things that have, you can slap his little fight thing on a t-shirt.
Sure, yeah. He's very memeable.
He is. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people are mistaking the word iconic for memeable because a lot of the stuff that happened to him was very memeable. If you want to talk about the most iconic campaign of all time, Obama 2008 is right there.
Are you kidding me?
That's probably the most iconic, at least in our lifetime, the most iconic. But that's I don't mean to get on a political high horse. I just mean to say that politics are engaged with in the same way. And the only way I think that we will be able to swing the pendulum back is for artists and people who create things they need to be more vocal about how they want. And I know that it sucks to put the onus on the artist. They're already creating the art. They're already going on tour and performing the thing and doing 99% of the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
From an artistic standpoint.
It's our responsibility to be good audiences.
It is. But I think that with our attention spans, with the internet, with the way that we engage with literally everything else, I don't think that artists should be surprised at how people engage with their stuff nowadays. And I do think that if you want a better engagement, then you need to be more vocal about it. You just kind of have to put yourself out there a little bit more. You have to be a little bit more sincere, and you have to tell people, like, listen, I genuinely want you guys to hear what I'm saying and kind of engage with it in a way that's a little more, in depth, and like really hear what I'm saying. Like when I've played my latest album that's not out yet to people, and
good teaser.
And when people kind of come back and they're like, I see what you're going for here, and like why you're using this thing as a metaphor, and why, and the kind of narrative, like when people like really engage with it, it's like, okay, I'm doing what I set out to do when I first started this project, and people are getting it, and it makes sense. And it's definitely more fulfilling when people engage with it than to be like, steroids, funny.
I remember that.
So, but I do think that like if I ever ran into the issue with people just making jokes about it, then I would have to tell people like, yes, the joke is the most obvious thing. There is a level beneath this that I'm trying to get to, and I hope that I got there. And if I didn't, then that's on me as an artist. But if I did, and you're just not engaging with it seriously, then I need to be a little bit more sincere in the way that I approach my audience. So really, I guess my last thought on this is balance. You have to be a little self-aware if you want people to engage more seriously with what you're doing.
You, as an artist, set the tone for how your art is consumed.
Yeah.
I do think that. So, agreed.
Anything else we want to add to this?
No, just a couple more things.
Yeah, we got a couple more things, and the first things last. It's time for the cheers of the week. So, Obi, you have a cheers for us, good sir?
I do. My cheers is voting.
Voting?
Yeah.
Speaking of politics.
I voted. Look at that.
Look at that sticker.
Early voting. I got my sticker.
Got his sticker.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're in a state like Florida, where it's like, we know where we're going, right?
Yeah.
Just, do it at least for your more local elections and
if we can live in a state like Florida and still get out there and vote, you in other places don't really have an excuse.
Sure. I felt good
going if you want to vote.
Sure. I felt good going in there, putting my little little scribbles in. I think it's one of the greatest things about America that we still have this process for now. And I think we should definitely go out there and do it. Do it. I don't do it. Vote for whoever you want. Just go and try.
Just get out there and do the thing.
Do some research. Figure out, especially your like local representatives, and figure out who you want as like judges and whatnot, and amendments. Those things are important. So even if you don't care about the presidential elections, or you really care about them and you don't want to vote for either of the two major parties, just go out there and vote for what you want to vote for.
The local stuff is pretty important.
Super important. Yeah. Super important. So go out there, do your civic duty. A lot of them are actually at libraries, and I went to the library and got my library card.
Yeah, smart.
And you know what? If you have a Kindle, you can go on this the online database and get digital library books. It's crazy.
Yeah.
CDs, DVDs.
I know. Wild.
It's crazy. Insane.
I got to get a library card.
Should. Highly
I
recommend
owed
it.
a lot of books to a library that I was like, that shall remain unnamed. This is not an admission of guilt because
No,
I
of course
don't know. What do I owe? I don't know.
I think there's
Fuck
like
you,
I
I don't know.
I think there's
Statute of
statute of
limitations
limitations
on
on
that?
those. Yeah.
A
Probably.
lot of books that say property of that are in my
They
collection.
got the stamp on them.
Yeah. I took one from my drama class. She wasn't using it. It's Allen Ginsberg
Oh,
poetry book.
it's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Voting.
Do it.
My cheers of the week is actually going to go to the movie I was telling you about before, which is Woman of the Hour. Far be it for me to praise anything Netflix produces, but you kind of have to give it up to the artists involved. Anna Kendrick's directorial debut, as well as starring in the movie about a woman who intersects with a serial killer on a date on the dating show game, based on a true story.
Yes.
I think Anna Kendrick does a superb job with the subject matter, and not just how delicately she tells the story, but the way that it's shot really reminded me of a kind of late 70s, early 80s thriller, but in a good way.
Okay.
It looks...
Well, it's set in the 70s, right?
Yes. It's set in the murders start in the 70s. The murder. And I think her appearance on the show is in the early 80s.
Okay.
It's not supposed to look like a movie from that era.
Right. It's not like a Late Night with the Devil.
No, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's not. It doesn't play into that world, but the way that it's shot is really just really well done. There's
Smart.
just like these very smart choices with the lighting, and with there's just these like interesting perspectives that she uses. So just from a cinematography standpoint, I think it was really good. All of the performances were amazing. Anna Kendrick's awesome. The dude who plays the serial killer, he is just extraordinary.
Yeah.
So shout out to Andy. They put me onto it and watched it, and I was just like, man, this is fucking Netflix, man. They got me with a good one.
Yeah.
So Woman of the Hour. Check
Okay.
it out. It has a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. So if you don't believe me, which you should, why wouldn't you? But if you don't,
Believe the algorithm.
believe the algorithm. All right?
Yeah.
Okay. Last thing last, we have to review this beer. So, tonight's brew was from the Three Sons Brewing Company. It is the PSL, a pumpkin spiced latte with pumpkin, cinnamon, nutmeg, coffee, vanilla, and lactose. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Obi, what'd you think?
I think I'm going to have a tummy ache, but it was everything that it says to be. I got all those notes. I mean, really, it does taste like a pumpkin spice latte. I think this would do very well as a nitro.
Yeah.
Get even more silky. Get a little head on it.
Yeah.
Nice
yeah.
thick head.
Yes.
On there.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
that would do very well for this. They may have it, actually at the brewery that way. But all that to say, obviously, it has lactose, so I can't have too much of it. But I'm not going to hold that against it. I'm giving it a 5 out of 6. I think it's very good. I wouldn't have more than one though. Not only for my stomach, but also it's very sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks to the lactose.
I think you kind of nailed it. Nail on the head. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 6 as well. I probably will never drink this ever again. But
I'm glad we did.
and like you said, did they nail everything? Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Those individual notes come through, the pumpkin and the cinnamon and the nutmeg especially.
Yeah.
Sweet, kind of full-bodied. It's 8%, so 8.5% actually. So it's a little high ABV. I think they nailed it flavor profile wise.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say this: if you left it and you added a little bit of like oat milk or something to this after it went flat, it could probably work as just like not a great latte, but flavor wise, you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Probably be right there, yeah.
I think they did a fantastic job with that. So I don't know if that showed up on camera.
Spooky.
If you are into that sort of flavor profile, if you like imperial stouts, milk stouts, IPAs, like milkshake IPAs, things like that, and if you like pumpkin spice lattes, obviously, I think you're gonna really, really fuck with this.
Yeah.
So,
Agreed.
Unanimous 5 out of 6. If you don't like any of that stuff, you will hate this.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
don't recommend this if you're not into any of those kind of flavor
It's very much
profiles.
that. Yeah.
But they did an excellent job of what they were going for. So, anything else, my friend?
That's it.
Well, if Obi says we got it, then that means this episode is over. This has been the One Beer In podcast for myself, Marco Dupo, for Adam Obesis Rodriguez.
Yeah, buddy.
Thank you guys for listening. Drink delicious beer and have yourself a beautiful week.
We love you.